So how do you get the best out of anybody? How do you get the best out of yourself? How do you get to that mentality where you are showing up at such a level that you're excelling way past what your capabilities are? Well, in today's show, I'm going to talk about how I elevated my first Royal Marine Commandos troop as a physical training instructor, and my strategies that I used, my tactics and mindset to get the absolute best out of those guys that were coming through Royal Marine training. And hopefully you can take some of those tips and that structure away to see, number one, how you can go about doing that for yourself, but number two, to see how we do it and to see if you might think, that's for me, I want to come in and I want to give that a go. Okay, so let's get into it. Welcome to the Rise to Thrive show. I am your host, James Borman, and if you are coming through, then please do let me know by hitting the love heart button or commenting down below. I would like you to put in the comments at what percentage you think you're at in terms of reaching your potential. So are you at 100% in reaching your potential, or are you only showing up at around 40%? Okay. So I want you to be able to go through that process and tell me what it is based on the last 3 months. Okay. So let me just adjust the mic slightly. So we have an event coming up in September, and it's called Awaken Your Potential. Now, it's a 3-day online experience, and you can join our waiting list. We're opening the doors on Friday. It's completely free, but there are limited places because we can only take so many people on the software. And we are dishing out a ton of bonuses, like I'm giving away our Elite Movement giveaway blueprint, which is 6 online programs, and a free copy of my PDF book, which is all free, the value of £1,000. You will get access to our Elite Brotherhood until the event finishes, and there will be an opportunity to come down and work with me for the day here in Bexhill for free. Okay, so there is a ton of free gifts and opportunities. But why I'm telling you that is because, well, you can definitely tell it's bank holiday, can't you? There's only 8 of us on. The reason that I'm telling you that is because the subject is about awakening your potential. Now, we talk a lot about leading yourself. We talk about showing up at high levels. We talk about becoming elite operators. And really all of that is a combination to reach your potential. Now, the first time that I really had the opportunity to be able to get the most out of people was in the military. I went through a 9-month process, 8-9 month process of becoming a Royal Marine physical trainer. And it was the hardest course physically, mentally and emotionally that I've ever come across. And then I get the privilege, and I think it is a privilege, to take through 60 guys Royal Marine training. So my responsibility as a Royal Marine Commando physical training instructor is to make sure that the recruit is physically, mentally and emotionally conditioned to sustain 32 weeks of training, pass out for training and be fit for war. That's my responsibility. So in order to do that, I had to make sure that I got the best out of these guys. Now, every PTI will have a different approach to the way that they get the most out of their guys. Now, I wasn't a shouty type of guy. Even though PTRs do have a reputation of shouting off, but what I mean is I'm not like, move faster, get your head down. Like, that's not the way that I motivated my lads. Now, I don't think it's typically the military way, but there's a couple of things that I did to get the most out of them. I want to share them with you. Number one is that I set the expectations from the very start about what I expected from them, okay, and how our relationship would work. So instead of them consistently always being scared about every word that I said, I just spoke to them like a human being, right? I didn't need to shout and scream at them unless it was a strategic thing where we needed to get the most out of them, we needed to squeeze them, all right? Even if they were doing really well, the strategic bollockins would just be a case of like, we need to sharpen these guys up even more, okay? So I set the expectations about what I standard, so they knew what the standard was, and if they met the standard, they would reach the potential. And I think that's really important in terms of being able to communicate and understand what I'm trying to get across to these guys, okay? The next thing was to enforce the discipline. So in the early couple of weeks, when you have civilians coming into a military establishment, there is this transition period of like shock of capture, right? Where you're like, my God, I can't scratch my face in the gym. And it's about building up internal disciplines, right? And it was really fascinating to see how people conducted themselves through that. So we talked about the standards, talked about communication and understanding, and we talked about the discipline that we would have, okay? And at the end of every gym session, so basically how this started off in the first 9 weeks of their military career, my objective was to pass them out of the gym phase, so they were cardio, so that their CV, that their own body weight endurance was strong enough to then go and sustain down the bottom field, which was the assault course. Okay, so I had to get their fitness levels up, and it's demanding. Okay, and at the end of the 9 weeks on the Friday, you are graded. So basically, it's an actual procession. So we would have our chief of staff, our sergeant major would all come down, and they would mark the troop on their performance, okay, and we would then get passed out, whether it was a pass, a superior, or distinction. Okay, and straight away we set the standard in terms of we are going for a distinction pass, guys. This troop here is going to be a distinction level, and that's the standard that we're going to have all the way through, because you are going to reach your potential in every session that you do to reach that standard. And I set out that expectation for all of them. I explained exactly how it worked. Now, I don't think all PTIs did that. And I took great pride in building up these men to have that standard. Okay, so every time you come in, the standard was a distinction standard. That means everything has to be absolutely perfect. Your body positions, your movements, the way you conducted yourself, the way you moved around the gym. And that's what we did all of the way through those 9 weeks. And at the end of each session, I would ask my instructors to leave, and I would talk to them at the very top of the gym where no one could listen, and I would talk to them like a human being. And we slowly but surely built up a relationship so they knew how I worked, okay? But what I was doing was that I was fueling them to want to show up for themselves more. So at the end of each conversation, at the end of each session, I was saying, you should want more from yourself. You should be wanting to reach your potential. And I was doing a lot of the motivational things that I do with you guys and with anybody that I work with. So slowly and surely what we're instilling is self-belief, self-confidence, self-esteem, and those 3 key ingredients we were trying to build up in each man to get to the very end of the 9 weeks and achieve a distinction, okay? And this is what I think that we have to do with ourselves every single day. One of my jobs, one of the things I'm going to be doing on Awaken Your Potential, our 3D online experience, is building your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your self-belief to reach your potential, okay? Because we have to change the story that we tell ourselves, right? The story has to change, otherwise nothing changes. You just stay the same. And that's what we're slowly doing when a civilian comes into a military establishment. We have to build them up, okay? And I don't believe that was done through screaming and shouting. I thought that was done by communication, discipline, standards, and the 3 self-beliefs, okay? Belief, self-esteem, and self-confidence. So we got to the end of the 9 weeks, and I strategically, on the second to last session, told them that they were awful. They were absolutely brilliant, by the way. I told them that they're absolutely awful, and that was the worst performance, and we've done all of this work to get to this far, and that's what you've produced right on the final hurdle. And having spoken to one of the lads that passed out, 32 weeks later, he said that that speech that I gave at the end absolutely destroyed them, like confidence-wise, feeling sorry for themselves. They couldn't believe that they let me down. So much so, when they came back on the Friday, and this is why I did it strategically, they came back with a point to prove that we are better than that. And they were brilliant. They were amazing. But they came back and they absolutely smashed the life out of it and got their distinction, right? So they went away with that distinction. So the potential over the 9 weeks was we can reach this distinction level pass out. And I think it was the first distinction pass out in quite a while. So we can achieve this. We can achieve it by working together. We can achieve it by having communication and understanding it. We can achieve it by having discipline. We can achieve it by understanding the standard that is required. We can achieve it by having self-belief, self-confidence and self-esteem to get there. And this is a classic case for you. It's a case of setting the target. Here's your target over the 8 to 9 weeks. This is what we want to achieve. And filling in the gaps with all the ingredients for you to be able to go away and achieve that potential. Does that make sense to you? If it does, just hit the, and you're live with me now, just hit the blue thumb button. I know there's not many of you because the majority of people are in bed. But if you are ever going to reach a higher level standard of showing up in your life, if you're ever going to reach your potential, if you're ever going to reach your potential in your career, your business, your health, your relationships, we've got to look at that system and those steps. The standard, the discipline, the communication and understanding that you have with yourself, okay? What is the potential, the outcome, the goal, the self-belief, the self-esteem and the self-confidence to go out and do that. Without those things, without those key ingredients, you'll just stay the same. You'll just show up as an average type of guy who will go through life consistently with the struggle and pain, okay? You constantly go through the pain and the suffering of the same stress over and over again. Nothing will ever change. Nothing will ever change unless you change it. Unless you go through those steps and go, this is what I need to achieve. And it's difficult and it is hard, but welcome to real life, right? You can take the easy road and live an alright life, or you can work for it and have an unbelievable life, an unbelievable marriage, an unbelievable relationship with your kids, an unbelievable career or business. Alright, I hope that helps. If you haven't already registered, you can join the waiting list here. Have a read of who it's for. If it's for you, then register. If it's not, then don't. Either way, it's your life. I'm going to be there anyway for the people that want to show up. I'll catch you Wednesday.